One last time, Ruby.
Ruby,
one last. Straight ahead, right in front of you. Isla, one more time, straight ahead.
Isla, on your left. Isla, on your left. Straight ahead. Sarah, down front, please.
Jason, on your left, so right over here.
All right, you guys, keep bringing him down.
Jason, right here, please.
Come on down, Jason. Last. And then come on down.
There is, they said unexpected to my character. I think that's what they said. I can't remember exactly how they wrote it. I don't.
Yeah, I'm like trying to like Blackmar and film would be good.
You know, it's also a great opportunity to be amongst familiar faces. I've been in New York for the last 18 months, and this is the most Australians I've seen.
I'm at that age where it's so nostalgic. I'm very grateful.
And you have already had these first 3 episodes.
Now you have real ones. Do you guys eat Allison? It was, you never forget that moment. Yeah.
Super thrilled. I mean, acknowledgement is always nice. You know, as much as we might say, oh, no, awards mean nothing. You know, like, I think it is lovely when you're there. It's just, you know, your career, you go through ups and downs, it's long, and to share it with people you love and you know and if you worked with over time, it's a great honor. Well, it wasn't around in my day. I came many years, far too many to count, and I really just had one phone number, and it was a roll of the dice, and I think that's probably why I lived under the radar for so many years. If I had have had this sense of community, this resource, I think I perhaps would have had an easier time, you know, just to lean in on a community. That's everything. I think it's great. Having community to lean in on at entry points is everything, and it's just a great resource. And you know, to have mentors and you know different programs that they have, it's fantastic.
And to have Isla here presenting.
I know. I'm super thrilled and touched, and I'm sure it'll be a roast coming from Isla. So I'm ready.
She already told us so many lovely things.
Oh, she's the best.
Thank you.
What does it mean? It's an honor. It's great. I've been working so hard. I've had like 2 hours of sleep, and so moments like this are really special because you're forced to pause and kind of acknowledge that I'm not just Batwoman 24 hours a day right now. I get to pause and reflect on what I've achieved, and being that it's an Australian award and everyone here mostly is Australian, it also reminds me of like where I came from, and where I came from is why I love telling stories. So sometimes we forget. There's like before you move to the States, and there's after, and there's before you get your first break, and then there's after, and before your first audition and after, and it's like important to have that single thread throughout the whole thing that reminds you of, you know, how far you've come. Just do it. Honestly, you know, I feel like a lot of people kind of say half the reasons why we come over here is the fear of like regret, like, oh, what if we regret not coming? And that's a real thing, and I think that most people that decided to like, I just don't want to regret it, I'm just going to give it a go and stay here for as long as you can and put everything into it. I feel like it'll happen. It happens.
It's kind of crazy. It's like, it's a real honor, and it's you know, I think I said in the statement I made, it's like and it hasn't changed. It feels like, you know, a pat on the back from all of you really good friends and colleagues in the industry, and I think that hasn't changed. You know, I think it's very special, and I'm happy to be here. I think certainly, like, indirectly in the way of providing a community for us all to be a part of, and I think that's a really special thing, particularly in this kind of industry, in this industry especially, and also in LA. It's a city about the film industry. If you took the film industry or entertainment industry out of LA, there wouldn't be a hell of a lot left. And so any way we can create a community in that place, then I think that really helps. I don't know. I think being vulnerable is a real strength, and leaning on the people around you for support, and if that is Australians in film, then they're a good support. I think being yourself and finding a place to be that and do that is really important, and Australians in film, I think, allow that to happen. I don't know. I think she's pretty badass, and I like that she is complex and unlikable in a lot of ways, and also very and yet seems quite a champion of women and feminism, and yet in some places, in some ways, isn't in a lot of ways. You know, I think especially in episode 9 of the last season, that's a pretty horrible thing to do to another woman, and so I think that interests me because it's a complex character, because it's good in a lot of ways and then bad in many others.
Naomi's someone who's not only inspired and supported so many of us Australian actors. She's been hugely supportive of the Heath Ledger Scholarship, which has introduced so much Australian talent into the business. But just on a personal level, she's advocated for me when it's come to roles. She's loaned me pregnancy jeans, and she's always been honest when I've rung her about a project that concerned me, whether due to its location or director or the person I was inhabiting I felt nervous about, and she's just gone out of her way to kind of mentor me at moments when I've needed her the most. So it's a complete honor to be here tonight to celebrate Naomi Watts. She's, you know, a 2-time Oscar nominee and 55 other awards with the SAG Awards, Spirit Awards, Critics Circle Awards, Golden Globe, I mean, you name it, 86 other awards on top of that. So this is just completely fabulous to be here. She gives back to the industry. I'm such a proud Australian, and she does all she can for our industry, and for that I'm very grateful. I mean, I often get asked, why do Australian actors do so well in America? And to that I respond, we have a great state-funded drama system, and we look great in a bikini. Even Russell Crowe.
You know, it seems kind of surreal because I've been going to Australia for over 20 years, and they seem like my friends and my family. So it feels kind of weird that they're saying, "Hey, come be here. We want to give you an award," and it's like, "But you're my friends, my family." So it's kind of interesting. It's different. Oh, fantastic! They've been great. They've been supportive not only of Warner Brothers, but the whole industry as a whole. Their talent and their willingness to try and figure out and to help us to come to make movies in Australia is second to none. Projects are hard to get made in the first place, but there is a great network of established Australian filmmakers and talent. Reach out to them. Find out what they did. Use their contacts, because we all know them and love them. So if you're new, we will listen to them.
It's a terrific honour to be here, and I think the great thing is that I'm amongst such incredible company. That's the thing, like people like Naomi Watts. I just never really thought I'd be in LA, you know, even on a press release with her, let alone in her company. So yeah, it's very exciting. Look, I think everyone talks about Australians in film being this sort of rock that stabilises the community and supports the community here. People back in Australia, when I told them I was coming here, they said, "Oh, Australians in film helped me get my first job in LA." And so it's interesting to have such a positive vibe about a company that looks after other Australians. It's like an outpost, like a touchstone for Australians. And I think, you know, Australians generally kick above their weight in this industry. And I think Australians in film is why that happens. You know, obviously there's the talent of the creatives, but actually they've got this really supportive cohort, you know, of Australians behind them. Makes a difference.
Well, I'm really excited. I've been living and working in New York for 18 months, and this is the most Australians I've seen concentrated in one location for 18 months, and so that's nice, lots of familiar faces. And you know, I'm just excited for all of the artists that are getting awards tonight. I mean, it's a pretty big deal. Not just to win an award here in Hollywood, but the whole deal, the whole moving from Australia to an entirely new city. That's intimidating and it's hard. I mean, these are the people that have really risen to the top, but for every one of these guys, there are countless other Australians that are hard at work trying to make it here in Hollywood. And so this is like it's a hug, you know, it's a little Australian hug for those people to make them feel like they're part of a community and not just on their own.
Well, I think LA is really far away from Australia, and it's an island of sanity here. And it's important that we're all here together and celebrating each other. So it means a lot to me to support Australian talent. Well, I won the Heath Ledger Scholarship a couple of years ago. If I didn't win that, there's no chance that I'd be doing what I'm doing now. So I'm forever indebted to them, 100%. See, yeah, well, we had the premiere a couple of days ago. It's crazy to launch something for Apple. It feels very fresh, new. I can't wait for the world to see it. It's very, very, very unique.
What I really love about this organisation is the sense of community it fosters among Australians living and working in this town and in this industry. And so this is a great opportunity for us to come together and celebrate each other's achievements, which is great.
Oh, we're incredibly excited as Ozfilm to be here supporting Australians in film and Australians doing so well in Hollywood.
We've had 40 people here from Australia this week representing 30 of our companies and screen agencies, talking to all the American partners here and really excited for the work that's yet to come. Well, we're kind of more interested in everyone making those projects in Australia, so we'd like to partner with those that are here to come down under. But of course we'd love Australians to be working with filmmakers here in the US as well. But you have a view about
well, we're here actually also honouring Bill Draper, who's the president of physical production at Warner Brothers, for all the amazing work that he's done and how he's supported the Australian industry. He's made, I think it's 40 films over 20 years back in Australia, so we're really happy to be supporting him. But it is incredible how well Australians are doing here, and I think it's hard work, perseverance, and just a great attitude.
I think because obviously Australia has been on the map for so long in LA now, and I think it puts Australia more on the map with people being here on a regular basis, all the actors that seem to migrate over here now that we can never get them back anymore. And also because the studios are all full around the world now, so we have good incentives, which is great. We've got a really good crew and most of them tend to come over here and work as well. So it's a good opportunity to showcase Australia, especially with writers and directors who never get a chance. So this is perfect now for them to be able to showcase what they do.
It's been an incredible year for Australians in film. I'm very excited to be here to honour all of you. This is the 8th annual Australian in Films Awards Gala and benefits. Yes. Yeah.
Naomi, it's you're having the most amazing year again. You starred in The Loudest Voice. You have the upcoming Game of Thrones prequel. And Penguin Bloom, which she developed, produced and starred in back home in Australia, giving back to the industry and returning to her Aussie roots. And let's face it, she's had a lot of Aussie roots. 68 and counting! That's a joke. That is again a joke. Oi. She's now not only been the most inspirational Aussie actor to me, but honestly, she's been the most supportive. She's rallied for me to be considered for roles in many of her projects and given me endless career advice.
People always ask me, what's it like working in Australia versus the US? And I can answer this while it's still fresh in my mind. Firstly, we all know that people thrive when they feel comfy and safe in their environment. And secondly, it's all about the company you keep. Penguin Bloom, it's yet to be seen, it's yet to be released, but I can tell you that this was one of the all-time special experiences I've had. It's truly lovely to receive these honours. I still feel very lucky to have had a career this long. I never would have imagined this. And I suppose you're supposed to be far wiser at this point. But I want to mention a quote that has always moved me and stuck with me. It's a Buddhist quote. Trust those who are seeking the truth, not those who have found it. And believe me, I'm still searching. I certainly don't take this award, this acknowledgement for granted. Thank you to the Australians in film. I wish to high heavens that you'd been around when I first got here.
Unlike what happens customarily in Hollywood, where you're asked to say something, you say some nice things about your fellow actor or the director or the producer. With Ruby, it's such a deep, deep, deep love. It's so evident that she is a trailblazer. We know that she's a trailblazer. We know that she's changing the world with everything she does. In my life, in my personal life, and there's a million people that tell you all of her accomplishments, but Ruby came into my life at a very critical time. I had lost my brother Pablo, and never in a million years would I have imagined that the hole in my heart could be filled by this actress, by this talent from Australia. My mother has had a hard life. It's her birthday today. I only say that because there's a similarity between Ruby Rose and my mother. Maybe that's allowed for this unique relationship. The relationship that I am so blessed to have with Ruby is one that ignores gender and ignores sexuality. It's evidence that in the future humans will love one another regardless of any preconceived ideas. So when I count my blessings, I think of Ruby Rose. And I think how lucky the world is that Ruby Rose exists, but I also think how lucky I am as a mortal, like the rest of you mortals, to have Ruby Rose in my life.
So I want to thank the Australians in film for having me and for this amazing award and recognition. And thank you for everything that you do. Sometimes I just need to be around Australians. I really do. I can't explain it. I don't know if it's because I'm homesick. I fucking love Australians. And you know what? They're always on time. And I think it's because it's humbling and it's grounding, and sometimes this strange job, this career that we have, you can like not feel grounded, and you can not feel like you're yourself when you're playing so many other characters all the time. So when I'm in a room full of accents that sound like mine, it just makes me happy. I know that the only reason why I'm where I am today is because of my childhood, because of Australia, and because of the risk that I took moving to the States and doing what I did. What was great is that I fell into films and movies and storytelling and plays and church choir and all these things to escape reality. And then as an adult, I get to be a kid, and I get to give back to that child, and I get to make believe, and I get to get in costumes, and I get to play these characters, and I get to be a superhero. Like that is... So if that isn't one of the greatest blessings of my life and one of the strangest mysteries, because I was a very strange child, then I don't know what is. So it's already on the teleprompter, but yeah, thanks, Van.
There's been very few shows, you know, from, say, Sopranos to Peter Morgan's The Crown to now Succession, where you're really watching something culturally going on within the writers and the directors in this town. And it's addictive. It really is. And it, you know, even to quote Scorsese and Coppola recently, it holds something up to society and who we are as people. And the acting on it is, I mean, second to none. And right in the middle of it is this magnificent woman, Sarah Snook, who just throws it down.
having this award is wonderful, and it feels much more special to be given it by a room full of my peers and my friends and people I haven't seen for a while and people who I love and people who I don't get to see unless I'm in Australia, and so bringing us all here now is just the best. So for thank yous, obviously agents and all of that, Billy and Scott and Jenny, thank you for wonderful, wonderful work and support. And then obviously, because I know this is being filmed, my mum and my dad, you know, stellar work, thanks. And my sisters, awesome. And part of that is because knowing you have someone in your corner and knowing you have someone behind you is the most important thing, I think, in this industry. And this kind of award feels like you have a country in your corner, and so thank you very much for it. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, so thank you.
About 5 or 6 years ago, I wrote a letter to the Immigration Service to try to encourage them to allow a very talented young man to enter the United States and practice his trade as a director. Of course, it was Anthony, and I'm going to introduce him in a minute because I'm a big fan of his.
When you when you come from very far away and you really don't know what the hell it is that you're doing, to have people like Phil, to have people like Al, to have people specifically like Australians in film backing you, you got to kind of pinch yourself sometimes. Just very grateful to obviously have gotten this award.
Tonight I've got the pleasure to present an award to someone that I've admired for more than 50 years, which is kind of impossible because it's longer than a lifetime. And the reason for that is because her story and her inspiration for me starts even before her birth. Rachel Perkins is her name.
I feel a little like an outsider in some ways because all of my work has been in Australia. But through the support of organisations like Screen Australia and our national broadcasters, I've been making films to bring our country forward. And a lot of the government support we have in Australia, which is critical to our industry, is about reflecting Australian stories back to Australian people. And part of the story that has been untold, of course, is the Indigenous experience and our relationship with each other. So I've done that for about 30 years now. And I do feel like I've served my country, and I feel privileged to have done so, which is why possibly I haven't been here. But I feel like it's been a great privilege and an honour to have done that, and I hope that I'm getting towards the end of that, and that I might be able to come work here with you guys soon. Maybe make a superhero film like Dacre. I could be like make a superhero film. Because that would be great, and I'd possibly get paid a lot more than I have been. I'm not saying anything, Graham, about the wages in Sydney, but
we were 5 when we started to work together, and the thing I like about Bill is a great negotiating a deal. But he learned at the age of 5 that I never say yes to the first deal he ever gave the studios. So for 21 years, Bill has tried to encourage me to say yes to that word, but it's always been maybe. Let me think about it. And what Bill absolutely hates is I will get back to you. So apart from having to call Bill and say, yes, Bill, the stage has burnt down, there's the only other time I've said yes to Bill, and I was very honoured tonight to say, yes, I will present the award for him today.
It's a great honor to be here. It's a great thing to work with Australia. That's 20 years in the making. And look, we're down there shooting now. We're going to start shooting another show in February, and we're looking at other possibilities. So here, thank you very much. It's to another 20 years.